a virtual illusion. A lot of my friends, being is though I'm a Cancer, Leo is the sign right after Cancer, so it's Gemini, Cancer, Leo. Kind of how that progression goes. If you want to start from the beginning, you want to say starting from the zodiac wheel and how the signs really go. You want to say Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo. Starting from January, the first month of the year, the signs will start at Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo. Leos are wonderful, wonderful people. They are the animal that represents their sign is the lion. That's their sign. That's kind of the symbol that represents their sign when you're looking in astrology, in the constellations and everything. That's represented by the symbol of the lion. Speaking of, if you think of the Leos, you know, some more than others may actually look like a lion. And when I'm thinking of like every single Leo that I know, including one that I saw tonight that I work with, they have like this look of the lion, whether they're dark skin, light skin, have hair in their face, don't have hair in their face, a woman, a man. And I think what I mean by that is just like that like a lion's face isn't perfectly round, but almost like that round, broad face. That's like how the lion's faces, big, beautiful teeth, like lion's teeth. Like just think of the Leos you know. And I bet you can kind of see a resemblance to the actual animal symbol that represents them, the lion. I feel like they're beautiful people. Definitely a beautiful sign. I think the men and the women are attractive. I think Leo is an attractive sign. I think every sign has its attractive people and unattractive people. I don't think that has anything specific to do with your sign. I don't know. But Leo, I do think they're attractive people. I have a lot of Leo friends. Most of my closest friends in my teenage years, teenage and young adulthood, would be Leos. Leos are very talkative. Leo and shy don't really go together to me. I think that's depending on maybe the Leo's personality and what phase they are in their life, and maybe what they've gone through, what they haven't gone through. But just generally, even if a Leo is shy at first, they're always going to open up. A Leo is a person, I find a lot of Leos is going to be the person that talks about like personal business and personal issues when they don't know you well. So like a person like me, I keep my personal business, personal issues really guarded. Like you'd have to know me really close to kind of know some of those things. But Leo is almost like an open book. I feel that Leo is an open book. They don't have anything to necessarily hide or be ashamed of when it comes to their life, the dramas that are going on, the different issues that are going on, and they will definitely open it up for discussion. And I feel like that's because Leos like to talk. I mean, if you know anything about astrology, then you know the key word for Leo is I. Just I. Like I said, for Cancer, it was like a I feel. For Gemini, it might be a I think. But for Leo, it's just I. Just that one word, that one syllable word, meaning me, myself, and you guessed it, I. So, and that's not to mean at all that the Leo is a self-centered sign or self-absorbed or absolutely egotistic. I mean, there is a lot of ego that does go into the Leo. I believe the ego and the sense of ego is tied into the Leo sign. Like I said, I'm not reciting anything out of a book per se. I'm thinking of times and experiences that I've had with people of these signs to describe the sign itself. Those common denominators that go from kind of like sign to sign and maybe general across the signs. So with Leo, I kind of noticed that they aren't shy people. They are friendly. I'm not saying they're self-absorbed, but the main focus in their life, their concern, and what their mind kind of revolves around on a daily basis, it does come from an I perspective. So what makes I happy? What makes I tick? What can you do for I today? How is this world, or how are the things that I'm encountering going to relate to I? How are these things, how am I going to be the center of this day, the center of attention, the center of whatever the topics that are going on, it has to relate back to I. So I think Leos do think about a lot of things from an egotistic point of view. And I think they're very open to look at other point of views, but I think a Leo will still get stuck in their own point of view coming from an I perspective. So, you know, I think they're diplomatic. They want to help people and they really care about society. And Leos care, I think they want to see people kind of treated just and fairly on a humanity level. But, you know, for the Leo to really, you know, and I don't think their purposes in life are money or riches or anything like that. I think as long as a Leo is happy, is coming from a happy place, has plenty of friends surrounding them, so and plenty of loved ones. So whether that's family, friends, children, Leos, because that main point of focus and that word that represents the Leo is the I, is the ego. They need a lot of support around them. And I really do find that about Leos. They need a support system. We all need a support system, but I find that certain signs and certain peoples, and take into account, this is very general. So, you know, this is based on your sun sign. So a lot of other planets are in your chart and in different places. So it makes everybody different. But I find certain signs may be a little, I don't want to say weaker or stronger, but weaker or stronger in certain areas when it comes to handling certain issues and depending on and taking care of certain things, and it's in reference to how you deal with certain situations that you face. Like in the Cancer video, I talked about a lot of times Cancer comes at situations sideways, or they'll choose to see what they want to see or run from the truth. We don't always confront situations head on. And I think that Leo, they do more so than not confront situations head on. But it just depends on what those situations are and if they have a strong support system that they can fall back on. Because I definitely feel like Leos, when I think of a Leo is synonymous with friends to me. Leo is a friend sign. Leo is the sign where they'll have everybody at their house chilling every weekend. You know, they're going to be surrounded by company, whether that's family or friends. Leo is almost a sign of never wanting to be alone. That's what I think of a lot of times when I think of Leo. But now I have close Leo friends and they'll say, yeah, well, I do like my alone time and things like that, which I think is definitely true. And that may be, maybe Leo went through a party phase, because Leos are going to be your partiers as well. Okay, they like to go out. They like to be social. I mean, how can you be so focused on like if it's I'm the king of the jungle, I'm this lion, well, you have to have your jungle and your kingdom to rule over. It's only right if you're a king or a queen sitting on a throne that you have your jesters, and your whole court to preside over. You know, what's being a king and queen if you don't have an audience and you don't have anybody to rule over? So Leo being the king of the jungle, they have to have their subjects. So it's only fitting that they're going to like to be out in social situations that they can rule and they can reign over. I feel like Leo has a good balance of mental and emotional. That's one sign. I know when we talked about Gemini, we talked about how Gemini was very mental, very intellectual. And then when we came to Cancer, we talked about how Cancer was very emotional, you know, and not so much always mental. Cancer is a very smart sign, but their actions don't always apply the thought to the actions. Actions usually come from an emotional place, a feeling place. And like when we talked about some other signs, we talked about signs that are homebodies and signs that like to go out. Like we said, Taurus and Cancer are kind of homebodies, but Taurus still likes to go out and be social. So does Cancer here and there. And Gemini was like a social butterfly. They always like to be floating around, as well as Aquarius. Well, Leo, I feel like is balanced in that area too. I think you'll find a lot of your Leos like to go out, and they may do that a lot when they're younger. So say like teenage years up until young adulthood. I would say Leos would be like your party animals. They're going to be on the scene. They're going to be like at all of the parties. They're going to be at the bar every weekend. They're going to be at the club every weekend, because a Leo, they have to preside over anything that's happening worth being at. You got to be, they have to be there so that you can talk about that Leo and say, hey, did you see how nice that they looked and how they dressed and who they came with, and, you know, center of attention. But I feel like Leo also can turn into a homebody later in life, or they can have a good balance even in the younger years between being a going out party person and having a home balance. And what I mean by that is, it's something about Leo that does not mind just being at home. Like, Leo is not a sign like an Aquarius or a Gemini where they're always floating around. I'm not saying that. I'm saying they just like to go out and have a good time every weekend, every other weekend. But their good times can also include just sitting in their house. They don't have to go anywhere. They can just have friends over and have a good time. Or they can be home with their children and have a good time with their significant other. So I feel like there's somewhat of a balance there. And I just want to make clear between... like, and Leo is not the one who I'm saying is just of the world so much. And when I say of the world, that's when I'm talking about your Aquariuses, your Geminis, and your Libras. Libras 80%, I'm going to say, because I feel like Libra likes the home life a little bit, and family, because they're that sign of balance. They aren't as airy to me as Aquarius and Gemini. I think Libra, much sooner in their life do they balance and want to pull in that home life, maybe more so than an Aquarius or Gemini. Generally, I just see Libra being more home oriented a little bit more frequently than the other two air signs. But getting back to Leo, Leo in love. I think Leos can be promiscuous, and I think it's because Leo is self-centered. They're so self-centered that it's going to come back to the eye. And I don't think the promiscuity comes out of, I think the promiscuity for a Leo comes from whatever they're lacking within. So if they're not getting something from a partner, or if they're not the center of their partner's world, or they're not getting the attention, you know, a Leo's attention span or tolerance for bullshit can be very short. It's not like a Cancer or even a Taurus where we're going to tolerate your bullshit for a long time, way overdue. Especially a Cancer. Like, the shit was overdue 30 years ago, and we still tolerating it. Leo, they're going to say, no, I recognize this is bullshit. Don't got time for bullshit in my life. Goodbye. Yeah, I could have been with you for a year or two, but you don't appreciate me. I know my worth. Goodbye. And that's a beautiful thing about a Leo. It's a beautiful thing to know your worth and recognize it at that time. And I'm not saying they're just like, goodbye, I love you, but I just don't care to work it out. No, a Leo is like, I recognize how I feel about you, and I'm not going to keep playing these games because you aren't going to waste my time. My time is valuable. Definitely one of the things I admire about a Leo. So they can move through relationships fast. My Leo girlfriends are always the girlfriends where they hot and heavy because they met somebody, and in like a month or two they living together, and then the next month they ain't talking no more. That's my Leo friends. So I never get really excited when a Leo tells me about a new relationship, because I'm like, all right, y'all still together? There you go. And if they make it, then that's somebody the Leo cares about. Either the situation is very convenient, or the Leo really does love or care about that person. So, you know, they have staying power. They like relationships. But, you know, you aren't going to overly take advantage of them and not appreciate them, because the sign that represents I in the ego, you know, it has to be front and center. You have to show, you have to bow to that king of the jungle, to that lion or lioness, enough to make them understand that you appreciate what they're bringing to the table, and you recognize all of their glory for what it is. And that's just to say, and that's something we should do for each other. If you're with somebody and it's somebody that you claim you love, you should recognize the things that make them beautiful and great, and constantly work to keep that known in your relationship. So those aren't bad things about a Leo at all. That's actually something that a lot of other signs could take note of and incorporate in their life. Because that's a lesson. That's one of the many of life's great lessons to learn. And it's a balance between being confident and conceited. And I see a lot of lions like that, unless you just get some of the more immature ones where they really are more conceited, but that could be any sign at any age. I see a lot of balance with